Welcome back to the channel for our regular segment here on Wednesday, making something sweet with you folks at home. And we're talking about chocolate chip cookies. And I know this is such a favorite around the world. And I know everybody has their preference of how they like their chocolate chip cookies. But today I'm going to show you probably the most classic style of chocolate chip cookies. And this recipe is very much inspired by the original from the 1930s, developed by Ruth Graves Wakefield from the USA, who actually invented these cookies. So this is very much a bakery style cookie. These ones are going to be super soft. They're also fantastic for sandwiching. So you can pop a cream inside or an ice cream and they are going to be fantastic. They're not going to be really crunchy. They're actually really soft. So perfect for a soft filling. So before we get started, don't forget folks to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on these free masterclasses, okay? And if you're looking for the recipe, just check in the description box below and all the ingredients are listed there along with the method. So let's get started, and then I'm going to go over a bit of the history of the classic chocolate chip cookie and why you need to add this to your repertoire or to your bakery or a cafe or food service business. So this recipe, as listed in the title, is a no-rest, super simple, soft chocolate chip cookie. So what does no rest mean? Well, you might have seen a lot of recipes out on YouTube land and over the internet where it takes 100 hours or 48 hours, or you have to rest the dough, or you have to use these special ingredients or this type of thing. This is a very simple recipe, guys. Everyone, every level can make this. First thing, we're going to add margarine, preferably. And what you want to do is, I've just actually started whipping it up in my stand mixer over here. So it's nice and soft, room temperature, very important. And to that, we're going to be adding some brown sugar, very classic. And also, this is actually a bit of a secret for this recipe. We are using icing sugar, but not any type of icing sugar. Depending on what country you are from, I know in Australia we call this soft icing sugar. In the USA and here in Europe it's often called confectioner's sugar. But basically it's the icing sugar which also contains cornstarch. Now this is a very important ingredient in this recipe because it's going to give you that amazing soft texture, okay? So make sure that when you do icing sugar, just check on the back to make sure that it has the starch also in there too. So, and sift it, and I'm going to pop this straight into with my soft butter, vegan of course, and we're going to get this start to mixing because we need to cream this until it is nice and fluffy. So I've just popped this on my mixer here. Of course, guys, you can also do this by hand with just a hand electric beater. And this takes about 5 minutes. We want to get it really nice and fluffy and start incorporating some air into our vegan butter and our sugar. And this is going to create that beautiful crinkly texture. See, look at that. And I love this. I'm also going to show you guys how to get that perfect round shape as well. See how they're the same size? So if you do want to make this an ice cream sandwich, look at that, it fits perfectly. So we're going to go all over that. All right, so once everything's sort of mixed, I like to go back and just kind of scrape everything down. And if you are joining us live, please jump in and say hello in the comment section. Let me know what country you are tuning in from. I'm currently here in Naxos, Greece, the island of Naxos, Greece, here in the Cyclades. All right, so we're just whipping this up until it is nice and fluffy. So now we can talk a little bit more about chocolate chip cookies, where they originated from and how they became so famous. So as I mentioned earlier, they are from the USA. They were developed in the 1930s. By a chef. She was a woman, Ruth Graves Wakefield, and she was so famous because she had a tourist lodge in the USA called the Toll House. So I know my folks from the USA are probably saying, Toll House, that sounds really familiar, chocolate chip cookie. I'm thinking chocolate chips, Nestle. Well, you'd be right. So Ruth actually came up with this recipe after she had a love of traveling, like many of us, and she came back from Egypt. And she was very inspired making cookies, and one day she chopped up a bar of Nestle bittersweet chocolate and put it into her cookie recipe. Now her lodge, the Toll House Inn, was actually very, very famous for their home cooked meals and especially their desserts. And so when she started making these cookies, people were going crazy for them. And she had so many celebrities and high-profile people coming to her inn that Nestle actually decided to start making chocolate specifically for these cookies, and it was actually called Toll House. So the Toll House chocolate chips from Nestle was inspired by Ruth's original recipe for chocolate chip cookies. And the recipe that I'm teaching you folks today is very, very close to the original Toll House recipe from Ruth. So we're being very classic here in the kitchen today. And yeah, that's what I really wanted to share with you, and a little bit of history as well. So let's have a look how our cream, butter and sugar is going nicely. I've just turned it up slightly. So now, believe it or not, in the USA, the chocolate chip cookie industry is actually worth $18 billion. So if there's a cookie you need to perfect, it's this one, guys. So please try this recipe. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. I really love this recipe and to share with you folks. So it looks like our butter and sugar has creamed up nicely. We're going to start preparing some of our other ingredients. So, as Ruth originally did in her recipe, she used some bittersweet chocolate and she chopped it up. So it's up to you if you want to do that, or you can do the modern style like the Toll House chocolate chips. And also for you folks out there who are in the USA, Toll House also came out with milk chocolate chips which are vegan. I'm just using some chocolate chips that I can get locally here in Greece. So that's what I used for these ones yesterday. But I'm going to be a bit classic today in this batch that I'm making together with you, and using a chocolate bar. So you just want to make sure when you are using chocolate, if you're in the USA, you use the bittersweet chocolate. But basically what that means for you folks around the world is it's a dark chocolate bar. And we want to use a chocolate bar. I have a preference of using one that has a little bit less fat in it and a little more sugar, just because I find it doesn't melt as much in the oven. So what I mean by that, don't use like a curvature chocolate. So a chocolate bar, dark chocolate bar, guys. So I'm just taking this out, and I always like to chop up a little bit extra just to garnish the top as well, which I think looks really nice. So I'm just going to bring you folks down. I'm just chopping up my bar here with you. And I like to just kind of like go in there at an angle. You can have some big pieces, some small pieces. And of course, all of those little shavings as well. Now we have some other special ingredients that we are using in this recipe that is going to make our chocolate chip cookies that extra special texture that we are looking for. So in traditional chocolate chip cookies, why are they not vegan? Well, the butter, but in addition to the butter, eggs. So eggs play a very important role with making chocolate chip cookies. They're going to help to maintain the moisture of the cookie. They're also going to give a slight chew to the cookie. They're going to act with a little bit of leavening. They're also going to bind so you don't get a crumbly cookie. And also you're going to get that crinkly look on top. So from creating some more air into our recipe, it almost kind of like, it combines with the sugar and you get this sort of like, this crunchy texture just on the edges and on the outside. chocolate all done. Now I'm going to reserve just a little bit of this, about 20 grams. So just like a couple of tablespoons like this. So I'm just going to pop that aside. And now we're going to get back to, pop this over here. Our mixer. And I want to show you this texture of our cream, butter and sugar, because this is important. You want this really beautiful, fluffy texture. So it's going to look like cream, like whipped cream. Can you see that? So that's the texture that we're looking for. Now the next thing that we're going to be doing, as we're talking about, so traditionally you would add eggs to this recipe, or a combination of a whole egg and egg white. Oh, we have a question. Let's see if I can see it. Oh, here we go. Thanks for the recipe. I will try tomorrow and use flaxseed instead. So absolutely you can use flaxseed. However, I will warn you that you won't get exactly the same texture for this particular recipe. And I'm going to go into why. So today I'm using the egg replacer called Panis Egg. And Panis Egg is a professional whole egg replacer. And I've also linked in the description below where you can find this product. It's super inexpensive. It comes in 6 packs of 60-gram bags. So it's the same as having like 6 dozen eggs. It comes in a dry powder. And for every 5 grams, you mix with 45 grams of water to replace like a regular size egg. And that's what I have right here. So what's different about this is, say for example, a flaxseed egg is going to replace one function, which is binding. However, the Panis egg is going to replace 8 functions. So we talked about some of these already. So binding, it's going to do some coagulating and setting, so that's going to stop your cookie from being crumbling. It's going to leaven and foam, so it's going to give the soft texture. It's going to add color and flavor. Gloss and coating, not so important for this particular recipe. Crumb structure and mouthfeel is very important for these cookies. Moisture and enriching, this is going to help maintain the moisture in your cookie so you have a very soft, moist cookie that won't dry out like if you use a flax egg. And also emulsification, what we're going to be doing right now. So emulsification, a lot of people get this a little bit confused with binding. So emulsification is combining fat components with water components. So, and this is going to improve the texture of your finished product. So we're replacing basically kind of like a large egg for this recipe. So I'm going to go in with about half of this prepared vegan egg with our Panis egg mixture. And we're going to get this back onto our mixer and start beating it. Now this is going to incorporate more air and also emulsify all of our components together. So let's pop this back on our mixer here. And on about a medium speed, about 30 seconds. And what's fantastic about the Panis egg is that its emulsification abilities is actually even stronger than those of traditional eggs. So it's very, very easy to use, especially for beginners or people who are just starting out baking as a hobby. All right, so the first lot is incorporated. I'm going to go in with my second lot of our Panis egg mixture. And then I'm going to let that beat for a few minutes until it's lovely and fluffy. So let's scrape down those sides. Again, if you don't have a mixer, you can just use hand beaters. So like those electric hand beaters, they work really well for this recipe too. All right. All right, we're on a medium speed and we're going to mix that for a few minutes until it's nice and fluffy and emulsified. Okay guys, so next ingredient, next thing we're going to be doing is we are going to get our dry ingredients all ready, okay? Oh, before I forget, we're going to put a little bit of vanilla also in with our sugar and our vegan egg mixture, so about a teaspoon. I'm just pouring that in. dry ingredients today, I'm using an all-purpose flour. So we call that also plain flour. Some countries call it plain flour. It's like your medium range of protein flour. And in addition to that, I have some sea salt, which I measured out and then I grinded in my mortar and pestle. I like to get it nice and fine so I don't have like big granules of salt. And then I also have baking powder and baking soda, so a combination of both. Oh, we have somebody from South Africa. Hello, welcome, Nicole. All right, so I'm gonna put all my dry together and then I'm gonna sift this a couple of times just to make sure everything is nice and dispersed. So I'm gonna get I left my strainer over here. Let me grab it. All right, so I'm just grab my strainer here. And I always like to get a nice big sheet of baking paper that I'm going to use for my cookies as well. And I'm going to just sift it directly onto this. Bring you guys down. See what I'm doing down here. We've got it a couple of times. I'm just going to scrape down the sides of my mixer again. Especially when you're just doing single batches, you generally have to do that every so often just to make sure everything gets mixed well. Okay, I'll get this back on. There we go. And one more time, sifting our dry. So the baking powder and the baking soda in the oven is going to make these cookies leaven or puff up a little bit. But once they cool down, they collapse back down and they get that crinkly kind of look. So you get a nice thickness, but they're soft, but they're not cakey, which I think a lot of people don't like a cakey cookie, but they want it soft. Okay. So I'm going to put my flour back in my bowl here. Now we're going to put our chocolate chips in with our flour. And all of those little pieces of chocolate as well. Okay. I'm going to give this a bit of a mix. So let's have a look at our cream, butter and sugar with our vegan egg mixture. Have a look at the texture of what it should be looking like. Scrape all of this down. Okay, so if you can see here how thick and fluffy it is, and you'll also notice that that brown sugar has now dissolved, okay? So the moisture content in our vegan egg has helped to dissolve all the brown sugar, and then we have this stunning texture, all beautiful and fluffy, completely emulsified. So when we say emulsified, the fat and the water components are not separating. It should look like whipped cream, okay? So now all we got to do is add our dry ingredients. And we're going to get this back onto the mixer and just combine everything until it turns into a dough. We don't want to overwork it, otherwise we're going to get a tough cookie. We want a nice, delicate texture to our cookie. So just really slowly, guys. Just until everything comes together. Which it just has. If you've got a little bit of flour down the bottom, that's fine. We can always scrape that out. I love making chocolate chip cookies here in Greece because they're not an easy thing to find. We can get some beautiful local sweets here, but a chocolate chip cookie is just something that you don't get. So it's always nice to make those things that remind you of your childhood. So this is the texture that we're looking for, guys. See how it's beautiful and fluffy? There's no separation. We have no flecks in there of like a flaxseed or anything like that. We can clearly see the definition of the chocolate and the dough. And the texture, it's like a very, very soft dough, and that's exactly what we are looking for, okay? All right, let's pop this aside. We're gonna get a tray out and start arranging all of our cookies. Oh, we've got someone from Tel Aviv as well. Welcome. Fantastic. We love it. All these people joining us live from all around the world. I think you can't go wrong with a classic like this chocolate chip cookie. It's starting to get warm here in Greece, so I think we'll definitely be making some ice cream and sandwiching these folks together. Yum-o. All right, so what I'm doing right now, guys, is I've got myself a big tray. Look, I have a commercial oven, so I'm using a full sheet pan, I think is what you would call it in the US. But basically, if you get 2 large trays, you will fit all of your cookie dough on it for your conventional home oven. You want to preheat your oven to 180 degrees, or if you're using a commercial combi oven, which I am using, I find I do it a little bit cooler. So I do it at about 175. I find it's just very efficient, so a cooler temperature works best for me. Okay, so next thing we're going to do, this is called a drop cookie because it's not really a cookie that you can roll in a ball unless you chill it. And because this is a no rest recipe, we're just going to go straight into it. Ice cream scoop, guys, this should make exactly 12 cookies. And I like to go in there, stick it in my ice cream scoop, and then just scrape off the excess. And in we go. Okay? Or you can do that on the side of your bowl. Whatever floats your boat. So we've got 4. And we just keep going, going, going. That one didn't look so good. So you really want to push it in. Sometimes getting a spatula to really push it in makes it work a bit better. See, there we go. That's better. So in there, and then I just got my spatula, just kind of press it in, and you can scrape off that excess. And we should be able to get 4 more out of this batter. And I'm just using a standard size ice cream scoop, guys. And let's see if we can get 2 more out of our mixture here. I think we will. Okay, so we've got 1. And let's try and get the last one out, huh? We don't want to waste any of that butter. Unless you've got some kids, they might want to eat this butter. That's what's the good thing about vegan baking, is you can lick the bowl, you don't have to worry about salmonella. All right, we got perfectly our 12th cookie, and I'm thoroughly covered in cookie batter on my hand here. I'm just going to wipe that off so we can finish these guys off. Okay, excellent. So at this stage, if you're using the chocolate pieces, get your remaining chocolate pieces that you reserved. And you want to put some on the top. Now you don't want to put them all around the edges, you just want to put them like right in the center because your cookie is going to spread. And so you want your chocolate pieces to end up in the center. So to do that, we want to put them right in the middle, okay? Like so. So like that. And I just like to kind of press them in. Some might be on the side, some might be upright. So it looks very organic in nature. All right, see if we've got any more little pieces here that can go in. I think that looks pretty good. So guys, these are going to go into our oven for about 15 minutes or until they completely cook through and you start to see them getting golden brown, okay? One of the other lovely things about using the panis egg is it will give you that beautiful golden brown color, unlike using other types of egg replacers which are just starch-based or fiber-based. So you really do get a very authentic finish as you would in a traditional bakery. Now I'm going to show you our cookies again so you can see the finished product. And I did also mention to you guys how you can make them perfectly round. So once they come out of the oven, all you want to do is you want to grab yourself a cookie cutter. I'll show you the ones that I have. So I have these ones here. And you just want to grab like your largest cookie cutter. I'm just pulling it out here, okay? Pop that over your hot cookie as soon as it comes out of the oven and just give that a roll around, and you do that for each one until they're all the same size and they're perfectly round, okay? So that's the trick of making them perfectly round. And then you get left over with beautiful chocolate chip cookies. So these are the ones that I did with the chocolate chips. We already ate some yesterday, but I have a few here. And of course, you've got to enjoy it with a nice big frosty cup of plant milk. I've got some soy milk here today. I think I'm going to have to break this one in half, but this is a good opportunity for me to show you the texture of it, okay? So this is how soft, look, all the chocolate's already coming off. So these are how soft they are. See? Beautiful, soft. A bit crispy on the outside. Delicious. Perfect with dunking into your plant milk and lovely for morning tea. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Please don't forget to give this recipe a try. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more videos. We have them every single week. It really helps us out if you like this video for the algorithm too. So I'll catch you next week. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my milk and my cookies, and I'll see you then. Bye.